What's the adult version of finding out Santa is not real? Realizing that $100 is actually not a lot of money. Skeptical smiley face. Mail is no longer fun to look at when it's all bills and no longer birthday, Christmas, etc. cards with money. Working hard but not getting a raise or promotion. That your good health isn't a given. Finding out your parents are flawed humans. Realizing the chick in HR is the company's pal, not yours. Finding out adults aren't real. We're all just trying to figure it out. No, adult, switch gets flipped. Finding out that stripper poles spin in place, rather than the performer sliding around them. Everyone's answer here is dark or existential, so I'll just put this out there. I finally went to Universal Studios as an adult a few years back and found out the old Nickelodeon Studios building has been turned into a generic, gray building with no life behind it. I was crushed. Edit. Referring to the one in Florida, of course. The universe isn't for you or against you. It simply doesn't care about you at all. When something goes terribly wrong in your life, and you realize it's not anybody else's fault but your own. Becoming an adult and having health problems like a sore back. I thought that only happened when you're 50 plus. Becoming aware of how wrong and uneducated most adults actually are. Getting your first, adult, paycheck and realizing that you can barely scrape by. Oh, the dreams you had. For me it was finding out those HGTV shows are all more or less staged. Realizing there's no such thing as karma, apparent universal justice. Sometimes bad people win and never apparently face consequences. Edit. Karma might be the wrong word, I learned from several replies. I'm only talking about a universal justice that we can see, the idea of expecting justice to emerge from the idea of, what goes around comes around. Finding out that your partner has been lying to you the entire time you've been together. Figuring out that finding your person, or your soulmate, is actually pretty rare and people can fall out of love just as easily as they can fall into it. Living a mediocre life is fine. Your children are their own people, and even if you love them 110% and raise them the best you can, they can still grow up to be a deplorable and detestable person who does disgusting and horrible things to people. Or to put it another way, I could quote some Star Trek's Jean-Luc Picard. It is possible to commit no mistakes, and still lose. That is not weakness. That is life. Bad things will be done to, and happen to, good people for no reason. Just as great and good things will be done to, and happen to, horrible people. There is no rhyme or reason to it. Edit changed a name because people thought I was talking about a show and not a character in a show. People aren't honest and some people are mean just to be cruel. What do you mean Santa is not real? Each birthday as you get older is no longer unlocking a new social privilege or gaining more independence but instead another year closer to what? Retirement? Death. Realizing that adulthood doesn't just come with its own iron and ironing board, you gotta get your own pleating face. Finding out your college degree doesn't guarantee you a job. You're not as unique and special as you thought you were. Your company isn't really your family. There's no win condition. You get good grades and do well in sports, good military papers, get a degree, then a job, and so on and so forth. Put in effort, see results. Love, if you're lucky. One day you realize that life has started taking, not giving, that you're on the down slope. Your efforts do not buy results, but respite. And that the best you can hope for is to stave off the inevitable, and, when it comes, that the end will be merciful and not completely undignified. Realizing that your country is not really the country than you learned about in history class. Finding out that cashews aren't actually a nut, but the dried stem of the cashew fruit. I was 19 when I found out after I moved to Brazil, and it blew my mind. Realizing that there is no student loan bubble that will pop and erase my crippling student loan debt. All in all, you're just another brick in the wall. Seeing how much money is taken out of your paycheck for taxes. Shower sex sucks. Love is not enough and does not conquer all. The idea of God is basically Santa for adults. Jesus Christ, this thread is depressing. Realizing that the adults don't really know what they are doing and everyone is really just winging it the best they can. Probably the realization there is a fair chance you'll die an insignificant nobody who achieved little, never saw the best life could offer and hated your whole life up until death. Edit. Okay people, this wasn't a woe is me comment. My life is going fine. I'm building a healthy savings account in anticipation of some legendary adventures around the world when COVID no longer holds us hostage. This was just an answer to the question, a valid fear that we have. I do not hate life. The very idea of adulthood. When I was a kid, I used to believe that there was an inherent wisdom that would come at the time you became an adult, and when you reached that age, you were suddenly more intelligent and responsible and knew what you were doing most of the time. As I grew up, I realized that wasn't true at all, and most people have no idea what they are doing and everyone is just winging it. Accepting that your dreams won't come true. Nepotism in action. Discovering that working your ass off won't make you rich and that you are just making someone else rich. Learning no one else knows what they're doing either. Those pills won't make it bigger. The moment you realize your employer doesn't really care about you. For me, it was when a coworker, popular guy, not that it's important to the story, was forced to choose between going to work and going to an uncle's funeral over 2 hours drive away. They may say you're important to the company, or that everyone is like family, but really, you're just another employee who can be easily replaced. No matter how shitty your job might be, there are plenty of other people who want it. That people suck and that not all of them have feelings of guilt, empathy. Finding out that getting paid every 2 weeks doesn't mean you have any money. Pro wrestling isn't an actual sport. It's just a sport-themed show. College degree doesn't promise good job.